So, welcome everyone to our quarter 2 meeting of 2025. And I'm just super happy to have you all join. And I'm really happy to have a special guest. I'm going to go ahead and share my presentation with you all that I've kind of put together. Not too much here. Um, Actually, wrong one. Let me pull up the right presentation. That's if we have time, I'm going to go ahead and share that other one with you all. So let me start. So yeah, welcome everyone to our check-in. I want to first thank our sponsors, Oboz and REI. And today we have Oboz on with us. So we're I'm going to let Scott kind of take it and run with it. And he's going to talk about hiking footwear and all of that. And by the way, everyone who's on here, you have a chance to win a prize at the end of the presentation. So I'm excited for whoever wins. So without further ado, I'm going to stop my share and I'm just going to pass it on over to Scott. Scott, take it away.
Hey, well, thank you, Carla. My name is Scott Wilfling. This is Carla, what, probably my second or third time
Yeah.
being a speaker at your virtual meeting. So thank you. I am the outreach and education coordinator for Oboz Footwear. What is Oboz Footwear? Oboz Footwear is simply put outside Bozeman. We are a hiking and backpacking footwear brand. We don't want to own the running space or trail running space. We simply want to do what we do best, and that's build quality hiking and backpacking footwear based here in Bozeman, Montana. The great thing about our product is that we've got about 18 million acres of the greater Yellowstone ecosystem in our in our backyard, essentially, as a proving testing ground for our products. So it's pretty awesome. Why are we with Carla? Because we love hiking just as much as Carla. It's a seamless relationship, and what Carla is doing and motivating individuals like yourselves to partake in this challenge is exactly what we're all about. Not only is hiking a really great resource for peace of mind, but I often say that the best conversations are the conversations that happen out on trail. We all need it from time to time. We all need to step away from our phones, from our tablets, from our computers, and we need to get out in that outdoor space. Well, and we also have to challenge ourselves. So that essentially is what Carla is doing with her program. And we're really excited to be a part of it. In fact, myself and our CEO, Amy Beck, will be at Ghost Ranch in September. So we are super excited. What is outreach and education? I travel around the country training retailers on our product and also, do a lot of consumer engagement. In fact, Carla and I had the opportunity recently to go down to Silver City, New Mexico, for CDT days. A big part of our community is the through hiker, section hiker community that's doing the AT, the CDT, or the PCT trail. Carla, bless her heart, was awesome. Came down. I had total mechanical failure with my employee vehicle. The van broke down. Carla saved the day, helped me out. We made the event happen. We actually had a great hike on Easter morning and had an Easter egg hunt in Silver City. So the relationship just continues to build, and we're really excited to be a part of it. Um, I'm not sure if many of you have heard of our brand before or not, but again, we truly want to own the hiking space. Why? Because we love hiking. I wanted to tell you a couple of quick things just about the brand, just so you have a better understanding as to what sets us apart as a unique brand. We're a brand that essentially started in roughly about 2007 in Bozeman, Montana. So in relative terms, we're still a pretty young company. We're shy of about 50 employees. All of our shoes are created and conceptualized right here, as I said, in Bozeman, Montana. With that being said, they are manufactured overseas in Cambodia and Vietnam. We obviously have our challenges ahead of us, but by no means are we stopping what we're doing. It's full steam ahead, and we're riding the wave like everyone else as we can with products being manufactured overseas. Did you know Oboz plants a tree for every pair of shoes sold at retail? Pretty awesome. It's a differentiator for us, for a company out there. In fact, we just surpassed over 7 million trees and counting. Pretty awesome. Where do we plant our trees? Well, in fact, we plant our trees all over the world. In fact, right now we're closing out a project in Tabora, Tanzania, a 4-year project where we build what we refer to as a forest garden. What we like to do is we like to work with a lot of impoverished nations that solely need, flora and fauna for a resource for food. In fact, those impoverished nations too, we also provide a 4-year education for those tree farmers that work on those farms as well. We also work with a company called Veritree. Veritree will actually tell you where those trees are being planted, who's planting those trees, how they're being planted, what kind of trees are being planted. It's a really good resource because we get often asked those questions as to, okay, it's great you plant a tree, but tell me more. Where exactly? So, Veritree is a great resource. It's a relationship that we just started building with them this year. Pretty awesome. So, and again, I see that there's some questions coming up in the chat. By all means, we're going to have about 10 minutes at the end of my discussion or 15 minutes. Please just have some questions ready. This is your opportunity to talk about footwear, talk about foot hygiene, talk about foot fit, and footwear care are going to be the three topics that we're really going to talk about. But I also just wanted to touch base. Did you also know Oboz is a B Corp certified business? What does that mean to you? The consumer looking at brands. Essentially, we want to build footwear that stays on your feet and essentially out of a landfill, right? We want your shoe to last the duration of time that you put into it. How many of you have had shoes in the past that you maybe only get maybe 6 or 7 months and they tend to lose their pack or they tend to break down? We really pride ourselves in putting EPMs or environmentally preferred materials back into our footwear. In fact, one of the shoes that I'm going to show you tonight is called the Katabatic LT. And the Katabatic LT has about 28% recycled material back into the footwear. It may not seem like much out of the gate, but this is a start. This is a relationship that we got this certification back in 2023. So we're still relatively new to it. You will see nuances moving forward of more environmentally preferred materials put back into our footwear. We're pretty proud of that. And lastly, many of you may or may not be aware of PFAS. It's essentially forever chemicals. Many of you have rain jackets, or it comes in a lot of apparel. Environmentally conscious. In fact, in California, as of 2025, no longer any PFAS products being sold anywhere in the state of California. You will continue to see that down the line. We're pretty excited at Oboz because we're forward thinking in 2023. As of 2023, we're PFAS free of forever chemicals in our products all across the board. So we're pretty proud of that. And lastly, I can't stress enough, not only do we talk hiking, but we love hiking. So, you know, and I do see that comment about resistance to water. We will talk about DWR, durable water repellency in products, and PFC-free chemicals in those products as well, and the products in which we use. But lastly, we love hiking, right? So again, seamless relationship with Carla and with all of you. We want to excel your process of going out hiking day in, day out. What do you need to make that happen? You need a really good pair of footwear, a comfortable, form-fitting pair of footwear. So what I'm showcasing tonight is this shoe right here. This is the Catabatic LT. This comes with Gore-Tex technology. This is a first for Oboz footwear. Generally, many hiking boots come with what we refer to as a hung booty, waterproof booty. This has seam-sealed Gore-Tex technology. So not only do you get the waterproofing, but you also get the breathability in this footwear. How many of you have worn a jacket, a rain jacket in a rainstorm and it saves your life? And then 20 minutes later, what happens? The sun comes out. What happens? We tend to sweat. We tend to get hot. There is no escape from that. Well, this technology is there. It's pretty awesome. This is a shoe that comes in a low, in a mid, in a waterproof, and a non-waterproof shoe. Again, about 28% recycled materials in this shoe. It has our trail tread technology right here. When I say trail tread technology, I don't say or I don't reference lug depth. I reference essentially the chemical compound inside the rubber itself. Very sticky on wet surfaces such as wet rock and granite. 100% recycled polyester mesh, abrasion resistant. So when you're out in those days in the forest where you're just on that sharp rock or that scree, um, you can count on this shoe. This shoe comes in a low, in a mid, in a waterproof, a non-waterproof. The idea and the premise at Oboz is to provide you with an opportunity to get what you need based on where you're going and how you intend to use the footwear. We want to give you options. I do have a cutout of this shoe right here. This is the same shoe that we were just in a different color, but simply just cut right in half. And what you will see is that traditional hung booty is like a sock inside the shoe. But for many of you, you can probably see that it is seam sealed in there. Case in point, the name Invisible Fit. You practically feel like you have nothing on inside the footwear at all. If and it's pretty remarkable, the technology. In fact, this shoe is also first to market for Gore-Tex in a mid-gusseted boot. And what I mean by that is traditional waterproofing liner typically only comes up about halfway up through the shoe. This actually comes up all the way through the tongue, providing you an extra layer of protection. And again, we're pretty proud at Oboz that this is one of the first shoes to go to market for the Gore-Tex technology with Gore-Tex. So love that. And the big takeaway here, folks, is that I'm going to come with a full demo set that we want to get on your feet when we go to Ghost Ranch, both in a low, in a mid, in a waterproof and non-waterproof, for you to go ahead and try our footwear and give it a chance. So people often ask me, right? That shoe retails for about 175 to 195 based on the Gore-Tex technology that you get and the technology that you get back into the footwear. But many people often ask me, well, that's an investment. How can I keep it on my feet and how can I keep it going for many moons to go, right? Like we are spending our hard-earned money. We want these shoes to last. So, a couple of things. When we talk about footwear, we talk about what's inside the shoe, right? This right here is the O-Fit insole. This comes pretty customary in all of our footwear, and this is a removable insole. It retails for about $32.95. Has about pour on gel tabs under the heel and under the forefoot. What that's going to do is give you more protection against stone bruising or foot fatigue. How many of you have been out on trail and often at the end of the day you're starting to feel everything underfoot? Those roots that you walk by or those rocks. Those pour-on gel tabs are certainly going to help. This medium arch support right here. All of our shoes come customary with a medium arch support. Many of you may have custom orthotics or a third party that provides like a super feet that provides a high arch instep. But know that Oboz, majority of all of our shoes come with a medium arch support. And lastly is the sculpted heel pocket. Many of you can see that right there. This thing's pretty firm. It lock and loads your foot into place and really keeps your foot locked and loaded in that sculpted heel pocket. People often ask me, how often should I be replacing my insoles? And what I say back to them is, your feet are going to tell you. Your body is going to tell you, right? And lastly, a physical examination of pulling out the insole. And if you've got no more pack in this shoe, chances are it's time to go ahead and replace your insoles. In fact, when Carla and I were at CDT days this year, we travel with hundreds of pairs of complimentary insoles just to give to the thru hiker community. Because not only are we a company about fit, but we're about foot hygiene. This is paramount. If you are out on the trail, you should be examining your insoles periodically and also replacing them on the short end, 200 miles, long end, 500 to 600 miles. Especially if you're wearing a weighted pack, right? You're out on the trail, you're doing a backpack. You want to ensure that you're checking your insoles and replacing them based on when your body is telling you. So, this is one aspect of things to keep your shoes going. Another is this product right here. Everybody ever seen this product? PFC-free Nick Wax. This is nubuck and suede proof waterproofing, or what we refer to as DWR, durable water repellency. Majority of shoe manufacturers out there come out of the gate like this shoe that I just showed you, the Catabatic LT. This has a spray-on DWR spray-on application, right? So that typically lasts anywhere from about 5 to 7 months. Now, that could be different. Carla could be a landscaper and wearing this shoe every day versus I wear it at the office. Well, obviously, Carla's going to expedite that a little bit quicker of replacing that DWR. What do we do when we go to the beach? We put sunblock on our body. The same aspect goes of doing the same thing with your footwear and the upkeep. Again, keeping the investment going, the DWR spray-on application is paramount. How can you tell if it's time to go ahead and put more DWR on your footwear? Well, simply put, if the water is soaking through and not beating up on the footwear, it's time. It's time to readhere and not only spray on the application, but Nick Wax also comes with a cleaning gel. And why would you clean your shoes before putting the DWR on? Well, simply put, if you were to pull out any of your footwear, you have little seams, stitching seams, right? And how many have you bought a pair of shoes that, where's the first part sometimes that shoes break down? You notice that a seam has busted on your shoe, and then the rest is history. Once it starts, it doesn't stop and just goes. That cleaning or that Nick Wax cleaning gel is going to help get in those nooks and crannies a bit more than what you could do with just a little bit of Dawn soap and whatnot, right? So clean your shoes, spray on the DWR application, and go ahead and let it air dry. Don't put it by a major heat source. Don't put it out in the sun. Just put it in a well ventilated area and let time do its course. Generally, anywhere from 8 to 12 hours of letting the shoes soak and soak in. So, this is a synthetic based shoe. Many of you may have a traditional leather bound shoe. A leather bound shoe may take a little bit longer than a synthetic or polyester based shoe. So just keep that in mind. So, coupled with the DWR spray on application, and also going ahead and replacing your insoles are the two top things that you should be aware of when investing in your new hiking footwear. Questions, concerns, anything from the audience there? So it'd be a great time to go ahead and ask if you would like, or we can keep the conversation going. So,
Maybe I have one question.
yeah, please.
Um, there's so many insole options out there.
Mhm.
Can you really trust the packaging when it tells you like, oh, this will help with this or this will help with this? Like I think it's can be tough to choose when you get to that rack and there's like 12 different kinds of insoles. Do
Couldn't
you have
couldn't
any
agree more.
different recommendations for what works for what?
Man, you just hit the nail in the coffin there. Like that was into my next segue right
Oh,
there.
okay, okay, cool.
So, does anyone know what this thing is right here? Anyone ever seen this thing? Carla, do you know what this is? What is this?
That's a Brannick device.
This is a Brannick device. Does anyone know what we're measuring with the Brannick device? Anyone want to take a stab at that? Length, width, and arch. These are going to be the true telltale signs of where you need to be with your footwear. This is an old device, but this is still the best device, right, Melissa, to tell you where you need to be from left to right. A couple of things about this device right here. This Brannick is a device that was created in Syracuse, New York, a US-based product. Uh, the Brannick is not 100% accurate. The Brannick is a really good litmus test as to where we need to be in overall length, width, and arch. What happens as we get older? Our gravity is a bitch, excuse my language, but our feet tend to splay out the older we get, right? Gravity just works that way. So, what measurement you may get 1 year might be different than 2 years down the road. So, I recommend going to your favorite shoe store and digging up this device and measuring. Are we just going to measure your left foot or your right foot? We're going to measure both of your feet. Why? Because we're going to get no two feet are exactly alike. We are going to get two different measurements based on your footwear or based on your feet. But we're always going to obviously go with the larger length, right? And are we going to do a sitting or standing position in the measurement? We're going to actually do both. And the reason being is we're first going to do a sit to see where you typically measure out left foot, right foot. But then we're also going to ask you to stand because based on my comments that I just made a little while ago, is is that our feet tend to splay, right? And bounce out. The great thing about Oboz, and I'll just do a little push here, is that Oboz makes majority of their footwear in a wide option as well, too. And where you're going to gain the width in our footwear is not in the heel, but up in the front of the foot. Think of it as a V-shaped last. A last is what a shoe is created from the ground up, but V as in Victor. So sculpted heel pocket. And as we go up into the foot, we have a wider forefoot, ample toe box. That's truly the DNA of Oboz and why it works so well for so many feet. Generally, if you're a fan of Keen or Merrill, you're going to be a fan of Oboz in overall fit, feel, and comfort. So, we talked about footwear care. Again, insoles, DWR. I can't stress it enough. Those two things will really help maintain the lifespan of your footwear. Foot hygiene. I recommend at least every year, if not 2 years, going to your favorite footwear store and getting your foot measured with the Brannick device. Back to your question, Melissa, there are a lot of options out there. And again, no two feet are exactly alike. What I can tell you about our insoles is we offer a medium arch support. If we measure your insole on the Brannock and the man or woman that measures your foot says you have a high arch, then yes, you will have to go to a third party option. There are several out there. What I can tell you is they range all across the board in price points. Our insole is an affordable aftermarket insole at, like I said, at $32.95, which our competitors go up $60 in excess above and beyond. We simply offer a medium arch support. If you need more, Super Feet is a great option for your feet, and they offer a low or a high arch support as well. So, flat feet. Oboz unfortunately does not make a zero drop shoe, but again, feet are different, right? So there are a lot of options out there in footwear. Generally, the saying goes, when the shoe fits, what do you do? You tend to stick with that brand, right? So find a brand that works for you and your foot. And always ask yourself, how do I intend to use this footwear? Where do I intend to use it? For instance, going to Costa Rica, is a leather-bound mid footwear really the shoe for you? Probably not. Probably something along the lines of a synthetic-based footwear that allows breathability yet has a layer of protection with waterproofing. Or maybe you want to go with a synthetic-based shoe that doesn't have waterproofing at all because you're going to a really hot climate. Or maybe you're going to Canada on a backpacking trip and you need the support of a nubuck leather footwear. Just really be selective and don't be afraid to ask the employee questions. My recommendation is when an employee is pulling footwear out for you, don't pick out more than three footwear to choose from because we often refer to it in my line of work as foot confusion. Once you start getting five, six different pairs of footwear out, you really start to get confused and overwhelmed by the choices that are thrown at you. My recommendation, again, think about how you intend to use the footwear and then base your search from there and pull out no more than three footwear and bang it down from there. Fair enough? I like the questions. Appreciate it. Any other questions from the crew right now I can answer? Okay. So we talked about the foot fit. Oboz has always been a brand about fit, right? And we refer to it as the four-pack system, and that's materials, last patterns, the outsole, the midsole, and lastly, the insole. I recommend it, and I always recommend when you're at your favorite shoe store, go ahead and take a look at some of our competitors, pull out what's inside the shoe. And that will be a true telltale sign as to the differentiator of our footwear and what makes us us. A lot of companies will build an outstanding product on the exterior, but the one place that people tend to chimp on their footwear is what's inside. So I really recommend, really taking the time if you have a custom orthotic, all of our shoes have a removable insole. You can always slide in your custom orthotic or your third party insole. We are a company that prides ourselves on fit. So, lastly, I did just want to talk about just compatibility. A couple of things to keep in mind. Anybody ever see one of these things right here? Yeah. These things are a microspike. This company is called Catula, based out of Flagstaff, Arizona. Not only do they make these, but they also make gaiters as well too. So a lot of footwear are going to be gaiter compatible. Couple of companies that come to mind, one being Catula, another one is called Dirty Girl, in fact, based out of Tucson, Arizona. Little small little gaiters that we have a little loophole right here that you can clip right on, and then a gaiter channel at the bottom, and then a TPU reinforced heel. A lot of them have little Velcro stickers that you put on the heel. This is all intentional and why our shoes are built this way, because we want them to be compatible with different products. such as this is just traditional micro spikes. When would you wear this? When you're going out to walk the dog or you're hitting the trail in early spring and it doesn't know if it wants to be spring or winter again, and you're going across some icy options. These micro spikes will save you and give you a sense of confidence that you may have not had in the past when hiking in those kind of conditions. So that's what I've got. I've taken up what about a little over 35 minutes. Sorry, guys and gals. I'm a talker here. I do it for a living. But by all means, I'm passionate about what I do, and I'm passionate about finding a shoe that works for you. Last I can say is Oboz is a pretty agnostic company, and what I mean by that is that we would love for you to be in our footwear, but we know no two feet are exactly alike. What bottom line is we want you to be happy, not based on the color of the shoe or the style of the shoe, but of the fit. We want to take the time to educate you on this. You want to spend your money at a shop that is going to take the time to properly measure your foot left to left, right to right, both length, width, and arch. This is going to be the game changer for you out on the trail. How many have you bought a pair of shoes based on the fact that you like the color, you like the style? And that the shoe wasn't overly all that comfortable at the end of the day, but you still like the color and you like the style. Um, please take the time to get your foot measured. And pulling out the insole, replacing the DWR spray-on application, the durable water repellency, will prolong the life of that footwear. Happy feet are a happier you, right? We all know that the pressure points that we have on our feet, if we're not in a good supportive pair of shoes, it will work up our entire body. And not only will it cause physical pain, but it will cause mental anguish out on the trail too. So, having good quality footwear, footwear that works for your foot, is going to be the game changer. Could you also share some key questions that we can be asking a shoe boot associate? Yeah, you can. By all means, I always recommend that's a really great question, and nobody's ever asked me that question. But the more engaged you are with the retailer, the better you are going to be equipped with getting the right pair of shoe. The struggle that we have, and the struggle is real post COVID was a lot of warm bodies at the retail level just to pull shoes, and the shoe knowledge just isn't simply there. Right? We face it in all walks of life post COVID. But I can tell you that there are still what we refer to as true sit and fits. And what sit and fit shops will do is sit you down and properly fit you with the Brannock device. Um, the questions to ask is ask a little bit about the history of the company. What sets it apart? You know, what is a defining component of that footwear, right? For instance, in this Catabatic LT, this is a nitrogen infused midsole right here. Why is it nitrogen? Because it's got bounce underfoot, it's lightweight. This shoe weighs in just at a little over 11 ounces. So for gram or ounce counters, it's all about having light but having durability. The other thing about this nitrogen infused midsole is that it will not lose pack during the duration of the footwear. Meaning, the whole time you own this shoe, how many of you had tennis shoes or shoes in the past that the midsole starts to flake out and starts to break down or pack out? This nitrogen infused midsole is really state-of-the-art technology. It's really imperative for you to know what's being put into the shoe and what makes that shoe so special. I could go on for hours about this shoe and the technology that's put into it. Well, not hours, maybe 10 minutes. But I could go into depth more time than we have here. But asking the right questions, taking the time to get your foot properly measured is really going to be the big difference. Anything else?
I just wanted to touch on lacing because like when you're going uphill versus downhill, the difference in like your foot kind of sliding down a little bit, or for me, I'm like yesterday, actually, just funny story. I went for a really long hike yesterday and I pulled out my insoles and I'm ashamed to show you that they are completely worn down. And I don't know why I didn't think to check them out. So thanks for the reminder. But yeah, I mean, I just noticed that when I'm going downhill, my toes sometimes will kind of hit the front if I'm not careful and like lace my shoe a certain way. So can you just talk a little bit about that? I also we have a resource, so I'll put it in the chat
Yeah.
so people
Yeah.
can learn some lacing technique.
Yeah, so yeah, we do. Oboz does have a YouTube channel. If you just go to Oboz Footwear, it's a great resource for just that, as Carla mentioned, the lacing techniques. There are several. We showcase about three or four that at oftentimes can either tighten the load or sometimes, a lot of times, people need to loosen the load. For instance, like a General's not up front here, will help alleviate and open up this footwear up in the front of the footwear. There are several different lacing techniques out there to, again, either help loosen or tighten the load. But generally, when I hear about toe slip or heel slip, the bigger question comes back, when was the last time you properly got your foot measured? Because oftentimes for instance, I often, when I started this job, I thought I was generally a 10 and a half. I've been that way since high school. I really haven't changed my thought process in my size. It comes based off of the Brannock that I'm nearly one size up, nearly an 11 and a half is the correct size footwear that I should be in. But also, like I mentioned earlier, this is a synthetic based shoe, so it will give more on expansion based on a traditional leather bound shoe or nubuck leather that is rather very, very tight. So, the kind of footwear that you're choosing from will, materials and patterns will really dictate the overall fit, feel, and comfort of footwear as well. But I can't stress enough. The first thing I ask when people talk about heel slip or toe slip is when was the last time you were properly measured? In all honesty, folks, you're probably going to be very surprised by what you find out.
Thank you, Scott. Really appreciate it. We want to let
Yeah.
you, if anyone else has any questions for Scott, this is the time. Feel free to put it in the chat. And in the meantime, I will pull one of you to win a pair of Oboz footwear because Oboz has graciously given me the ability to gift you all some of these amazing shoes. Okay, so give me a sec.
A couple of things about Oboz is that, not only do we want to own the hiking space, backpacking space, we have everything from light and fast, which I've shown you with the Katabatic LT, to traditional hiking and backpacking footwear, to recovery footwear, post-hiking footwear, casual footwear, insulated hiking and backpacking footwear. We want to give you, again, a lot of options. There's a lot to choose from on our website. So whoever wins, if you want to take it offline and reach out to me directly, by all means, I'd be more than happy to guide you in the right direction and give you some options based on the conversation.
Awesome. And our winner is Mike. Mike got the Mike McKinney.
Congratulations, Mike.
Yep.
No,
I did the random number generator and you got pulled number
I'll
one
pass
on my
on
list.
I'll pass on that.
No shit.
All right. Let me try one more time.
Okay.
That's very nice of you, Mike.
Listen,
Okay. So the winner is
they
actually
said
Rachel.
start.
Rachel, you are the winner. So email me hello@52 Hike Challenge and you're going to get a code for a free pair of Oboz footwear.
Congratulations,
Congrats.
Rachel.
Thank you. Wow, that's pretty neat.
Heck yeah.
Thank you so much, Scott, for everything. And I put some resources there in the chat. We do have a lacing blog that we wrote, and hopefully that helps as you're thinking about your footwear. And go and check your insoles because I'm mortified. I'm like, no wonder at the end of 11 miles, my tootsies were not happy.
It's
So,
you know, when we're at the AT or CDT days, the when people actually pull out their insoles, majority of people don't even realize that they should be replacing their insoles. And when they
yeah.
pull them out, Carla can attest to this. Well, let's just look at Carla's insoles, for
Oh
instance.
Lord, it's so embarrassing. Okay, I'll show them to
So
you, but I'm embarrassed. So these are super feet and they're old and that's the reality of them. When I put them in, they must have been okay, but they're really kind of you could see the worn in here and the worn in the back. And then when I looked at I mean, there's nothing. There's like no cushion. There's no cushion. I mean, you can't really see because my camera has the background there, but there's no cushion. So I am like mortified, but yeah, they're really in dire. And I just never thought to like pull them out, because they're inside the shoes. So I'm gonna change them. I do have some Oboz insoles, so I'll do. They are paper thin. Rachel, go ahead and send it to hello@52hikechallenge.com. Info at looks at email like a couple times a week, so it might take you a little longer if you send it there. Well, thank you so much. I really, 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 really appreciate it. And I'm going to go ahead and Scott, if you feel like it, you can either stay on. Otherwise, I'm just going to do a quick little because this video gets shared with all of our community. I just wanted to remind everyone that summer is coming here and we just want to remind you to be safe. Like I have been reading so many articles about people getting basically evacuated, mainly why they don't have enough water. Don't be that person, and I want to make sure that you know how to stay safe. So I'm just going to quickly run through some hydration tips. Hydrate before your hike. If you know you're going to be going out, somewhere where it's going to be hot or longer day, you can start like a couple days before really drinking a lot of water. And this is going to sound maybe surprising, but the National Academies of Sciences has suggested 11 cups of fluid for women and 16 cups for men per day. I'm sure that sounds extreme, but just start drinking more water than you normally do. Not only is it good for your health, it's good for your skin, but your body is really going to appreciate that. And then of course on your hikes, people always wonder like how much water should I carry? And at minimum you should be carrying I believe 1 liter for every 3 miles hike on a normal type of a situation. But if you're going to be in the heat, you're going to need a lot more water. And according to the NPS, National Park Service, you should have at least 1/2 to 1 quart, which is almost a liter of fluids every hour when you're in the heat. Of course, one big tip is to think about electrolytes. I put one of my favorite brands of electrolytes here. It's called Vitalite. No, they're not a sponsor, but I do love them. Of course, there's so many other options, but I just wanted to share that with you. And then, of course, don't forget after your hike, have extra water in the car, have coconut water, have electrolytes. if you need them. Have a small cooler in your car so that, when you get back, the water isn't hot or your electrolytes aren't hot. And then, of course, continue to drink water. So, like I said, I went out yesterday. I live in the desert. I went for 11 miles. I absolutely needed all the extra electrolytes after the fact, and lots of water that I've been drinking since. Also, there is a condition called hyponatremia, which is too much water. And that is actually a fact. You can over hydrate, and be careful. I'm not going to get into it, but there are um, things that you need to be aware of. And so I would recommend taking the time to look up, the differences. I'll actually show you one other slide shortly here. All right. Don't forget that also another way of putting more salt in your system when you're on hikes is to have like salty trail mix or nut butter and chips. That's one of the tips that people say. Even Trader Joe's has these little pretzel like small snacks that have salt, and then they have nut butter inside. So those are great when you're out and you need to continue having that salt in your system. Okay, here are some clothing items that I really love for, for summer hiking. Definitely a big brim hat. This is another hat here that Outdoor Research does, called the Sahara, I believe. Anyhow, it covers your neck as well. Definitely UPF clothing. This is a sun shirt from OR, but also REI has a version of this that I personally love. And there are sun gloves that you can use for protect your hands. And if it's really, really hot, bringing a bandana that you can continue to, put water on the bandana, put it over your neck and even over your head. It can make a huge difference. But there's this really cool tie called the Kafka's cool tie. You put that in water and it actually makes these beads cool you down. So it's like a cooling tie. It's really awesome. And yeah, that's kind of it. You can also, if you're worried about bugs, you can bring a bug net, treat your clothes with, um, bug repellent like permethrin if you'd like, and that will usually last a few washes. So other things to think about is, making sure to check the weather before the hike, avoid hiking during the hottest time of the day, which actually is between like noon and 3, but can vary depending on where you're located. And then think twice about hiking when it's going to be like over 85 degrees, really. I mean, for me, at least that's kind of like my limit. It could be different for you. You won't know until you're out there. And of course, if you need to turn around, turn around. Like there's no shame in that. The hike will always be there. Also think about going on some evening hikes. Some parks are going to allow for you to be out past, 6 o'clock. And so that's an option. Make sure to, carry your bug spray, detox wipes if needed for poisonous plants. Have a water filter as a backup. Sawyer is a great option. They have a Sawyer mini filter that you could have in your backpack and doesn't really weigh much in case, you're somewhere where there's, water and you can filter. Try to find ways to stay cool, take frequent breaks. And then, of course, this is a great time to hike near bodies of water or hike up at elevation. Okay, so those are some other options you have. Okay, do not forget your pets, your pups, or any other hiking furry pals you're going to bring with you. They are really going to suffer a lot more because their paws are on hot rock. And, I've seen a lot of pets out right now that are like, they just are not doing well, right? When it comes to like hiking in the heat. So be aware, don't underestimate that they also need you to be looking out after them, and bring plenty of water for them, have first aid, and don't be afraid to turn around. Lastly, I think I just want to show you this little document here that we've created. Know the difference between heat exhaustion and heat stroke. These are very, very severe things or conditions that can happen when you're out there. And it's just important to know like the differences between the two. And of course, if you are experiencing any of these symptoms, get help and make sure to at least get cool as soon as possible. Um, Here's a good rule of thumb. If you start getting a headache, find a cool place to sit, drink water, and rest. If after 15 or 20 minutes, you still don't feel well, go ahead and seek help. Okay. So know your limits. For me, I don't do really well in super hot weather. So I just avoid it. I actually tend to hike earlier in the mornings or later in the day. Okay. And that's it. Thank you so much. I just wanted to make sure that, people are aware of all the things that they need to think about when hiking in the heat. And especially now that I live in the desert, I think it's made me a lot more mindful. And then just wanting to be responsible hikers. You're not only putting yourself at danger, but you're actually putting other people's lives at danger that are out there to rescue you. So think twice, and have some backup plans. So anything else? Does anyone want to share anything? Any other feedback?
I have kind of a random question. Carla, what's your background?
Yeah.
Where's the photo from? Do you know?
Oh, yeah. We actually hosted a group to go to Patagonia this March, or actually it was February, and that is Torres del Paine in Patagonia, and we did the O Trek, so it was amazing. 52 Hike Challenge community came out for that. I think it was 8 of us.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it sounds like everyone's pretty much ready to call it an evening. Thank you all so much for joining. I will be sharing this recording in case you had anything you wanted to come back to. And I appreciate all of your time. And Scott, thank you again. Everyone have a good night.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.